forward, flash forward as well, looking for that stun. Reeve still has the flash, but I don't think he has a chance of living. Oscar on the board, the ripped out avoids the turret. Oscar flashes away, but here's the charge. FNC arena, Oscar.
Look at Corki. I'm tanking. Mundo no flash, kill Mundo. Kill Mundo, kill Mundo. I'm tanking. Can win.
Holy Smolder! Humanoid steps a little bit too far forward. Humanoid has splash here, but do you even get to walk away? The answer is an emphatic no. G2 are done with this. They got the record for the longest game, and that's enough for them.
What a game won here in the arena. 12,000 people just saw the longest game between G2 and Fnatic ever. Goes without saying, it was also the longest game of the entire season. They kept the best for last, and I just want to kind of nerd out about the game for a second.
What the hell? What is there to nerd out? It was a complete back and forth banger.
It's crazy. You saw the coaching staff, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so I ran into Dylan, and you know when you like run into someone, you have this like, you know, nod of acknowledgement that you see each other. He just looks at me, he's like, he was like hysterical. Like, I've never seen Dylan this hysterical, because for me, and I guess for him as well, this is the epitome of what he's always teaching them. He's always like, when the game goes bad, take it to the streets, and oh boy, they took the boulevard down.
I also just love the photos of the different fan interactions we get there, or that we saw in the shots, because there was times where it definitely felt like this is a G2 win, then it felt like this is a Fnatic win, and you can see the hype, but also the disappointment immediately after as they throw their leads away.
I mean, when we look at the post-game breakdown and we always have this, you know, these fluctuations in gold, you're like, you see one of them, two of them, and you're like, oh man, this game was so messy. Oh, we don't like it. This team threw. Well, this game we had like 7 of them.
I mean, it was a heartbeat monitor just going straight up and down. You
Look
kind
at
of see
this.
that is a roller coaster.
I just have no words.
It's crazy. It was so fun for us to watch. You do have to think, though, for Fnatic, you know, we just have to take this in the context of everything that came before, being that they had that final and that experience, and they had a couple of situations where they were in more winning positions even than in this one, right? But they couldn't hang on in the crucial moments. Now, is that something we need to be worried about this in this game one, or did you see a team that truly went blow for blow and it was only inches that got it over the line?
I believe it was blow for blow, because before, when you saw Fnatic, we would see these situations where we're like, inexplicably, how can you throw this game? But this game, it felt really like it was blow for blow, and G2 was adapting this, you know, weird style where they're just going 1-3-1 because they realize they're not winning the game. The Smolder has 600 stacks. The splash was throughout the whole lane. How can you fight that?
I mean, they had to fight for it, right? I mean, that's what they did, and they did such a good job of splitting Fnatic up, but we can't forget how Fnatic got here. Through Oscarinin in the beginning with some great cannon ultimates, but also up to this TP in the top side, where this entire early game really is just about cross maps and the different fights and the different priorities we get from Fnatic and G2, and it just culminates into the team fights we get.
Yeah, it's so much about the team fights, and we saw them trying to build Oscar into this force that can change the team fights, which you always can if you're a cannon. You can actually absolutely destroy them, also in combination with that Smolder. So where do you think they dropped the ball, right? Because if you dumb it down, which is not the case when you're stressed and it's 50 minutes into a game, you gotta wait for your angles, you gotta make sure you get a flank. Ideally, you gotta get the drop on him, and you gotta make sure that Cannon can get the ultimate off.
Yeah, I mean, I think they pulled the trigger a bit too quickly sometimes as well, where they just knew we have Flash Cannon, let's just go for it, instead of anticipating the gameplay a bit earlier, or just anticipating it in general, because G2 did a very good job of playing around with Mikyx exhaust, of using that Kalista ultimate to take the initial hit.
Credit to G2, because there were a lot of windows where Fnatic could have looked for these fights, because I think for the Soul, many of this, because since G2 was on Soul Point for so many times, they give up a lot of these drakes because there was a summoner mismatch. The Kennen has flash, our carries don't have flash. So what do? We go 1-3-1. We set Corki on the side lane, and there's just been a plethora of these decisions from G2 that stabilized the game and made it to an even playing ground where everyone has flash up, and it's a lot harder for Kennen to look for these situations when everyone on the enemy team has flash.
And it has to be said, those are the kind of split-second decisions that win championships, right? When you look ahead to kind of the pedigree that G2 does have. So I want to take a look at the Baron, the last one that really spelled the end for Fnatic.
I mean, I'm so happy you're bringing that up, because
No
how
problem.
mental are G2? Look at Caps, he's in bot lane, he's no teleport. They're just straight up starting this without having his mid laner.
I just can't believe it, because they're just doing this Nasher on enemy TP advantage. You don't have TP at all. They even get this cool kill on Kennen with the Zyra plans. They blow the Kennen summons and everything, and all of a sudden, the game is just won off of them doing Baron 4v5 with Caps splitting like a madman. It's not even good.
It is not good. It is
not good.
Like objectively here, yes, of course it worked. But when we're looking to make a call like this, you're going into it saying it's a risk. It's a calculated risk. You know it's probably not in your favor, but you have to do it at that stage. And they took that shot, and that's really what gave them the advantage in this game.
It's so interesting because Fnatic talks so often about how, you know, Humanoid is like a mastermind in macro and that he knows which decisions need to be taken. Maybe G2 is like, okay, well, we will give you an illogical decision that we're going to make right now. Are you going to be able to stop it? The answer is no.
Exactly, because as a player, when you go into these games, obviously you're playing with fog of war. You're playing off of what information the enemy is giving you. You're saying, oh, Caps is bot, he has no TP. Surely they're not on Nash. But then G2 is saying, is cooking the counterplay here, where they're like, okay, Caps, you go bot. Hans is probably saying, well, I'm Kalista, I can stack a lot, and then with Zyra plants and everything, we have so much DPS to just burn the Baron down before they even realize that it's happening.
It's crazy. I mean, it was so incredibly close, but I do feel for Fnatic. And I think if we wanted the best series we were going to get today, they should have won game one, right? If we wanted to get the best series. And why do I say that? It's because I've seen Fnatic crumble at times. We have it on record from Razork in Euphoria this week. When John has a bad game one, sometimes he takes that into game two and into game three. So this is really where they have to show, no, this was close. We could have closed this, and we're gonna win the next one.
I mean, they were so close to the enemy nexus so many times. We're talking in their base, okay? You were so close to putting the finishing touches on that game, and you're right, Eve. We need to see them actually be able to mentally come back into this game too. Objectively speaking, I don't think as fans we could have asked for a better game one. This was fantastic to witness between G2 and Fnatic.
And going into game two, if I'm Fnatic here, I'm not even doing any sort of breakdown of what happened here because you don't have a lot of time between these games. What is most important is who cares why you lost the game one? It's not gonna happen again. You're not gonna have 50-minute bangers. You're just gonna go backstage and be like, reset. It doesn't matter what happened before, because before we had the issue of, you know, crumbling under pressure. And right now, all they need to do is reset, and this game is extremely pivotal for the series.
Yeah. They chose blue side. Do you think they're gonna run it back?
I would. The Smolder was amazing, you know. They gave up the Corki, they gave the Zyra. Zyra was a non-factor for such a long part of the game, but the Smolder was amazing. Oscar had great performances, and I think the reason why Bowling got behind was a little bit more of the macro decisions that they had. So I would stick with blue side and continue getting these power picks.
Yeah, I think if you're able to actually just get some of those Drakes in the early game, I mean, we can't forget that G2 actually got 6 grub, the first 2 Drakes. They ran the objective game, they got the Rift Herald. Fnatic needs to be able to equalize their kills into neutral objectives, so they're actually better set up for the mid to late game where they struggled a little bit.
We want to see him run it back. Let's head over to our casters for game 2.
I mean, I'd love it if they run it back. Give me another 50-minute banger. This time Fnatic win it, and then a 50-minute banger where G2 win, and then Fnatic can win. Just as long as we get a 5 games.
Your voice didn't survive Athens when that happened, Medic. Are
yeah,
you really...
but I don't care. Like, Worlds is like 3 weeks away, Betty. I'm good. Let's just go all out.
We were given a fantastic game one, and we're not even going to waste that much time because the players are ready, the draft is ready, and so what are the shifts going to be? Is Humanoid going to get Smolder once again? Is Corki going to be something that Fnatic don't want to give G2? Were they happy to play into that? The Ashe was something that they clearly want to remove once more. The Tristana, the focus around some of these power picks that G2 have found so much success with will continue to be removed.
Run it back, run it back. Ashe and Tristana banned away by Fnatic. They did that in game 1. Vi and Maokai taken away by G2. Guess what? They did that in game 1 as well.
The Kalista ban.
With the Kalista ban, it means the bomb's up. The MF was G2's final ban as well. So G2's bans were exactly the same. Fnatic have replaced Braum with a Kalista.
And it's the Ezreal again, first pick for Fnatic. So although they take away the Kalista, it's just a case of trying to find a little bit more success for Noah in that bottom side of the map. That Kalista was such a massive proponent of the early game for G2.
Is it a Draven angle?
True.
Well, Zeri's going to be locked in. We have seen Hans Sommer play the Zeri. It's not a champion we typically associate with him, but G2 have been looking to expand their pool and bring this into their repertoire.
I was going to say Caps played as well, but the immediate Corki lock means that it doesn't really matter. So now, what do you want to try and pair this with? That Rell is still available and can cause some major issues for that Zeri.
Rell can be very powerful. Obviously, the Zeri and the Corki can be flex top lane as well. So it's possible Hans Sommer could still pick Draven. I will say the triple AD carry comps not as powerful as they were a few weeks ago. People seem to have worked them out a little bit more, especially if you look towards things like the Nasus. Smolder picked into what could be that Zeri in the mid lane, or the Corki. Still a good matchup for Humanoid either way. And there's the Rell that you were talking about, Dagda.
Yeah, I think it's just such a strong pick, and especially when you've got two very powerful AD carries with a ton of long-range poke. Having that nice setup with the Rell makes a lot of sense. I imagine jungler going to be locked in here for Yike. Is it the Zyra once more, or do they want to go for the brand? Could be an option, but actually just going to go for the Rakan instead, knowing that they've got first pick on that jungler after this rotation.
I mean, Mikyx has proven to be an extremely potent Rakan player. He's found so many great engages. He works so well with Hans Sommer as well. Concedes the early laning phase a little bit, but definitely powerful in the team fights. The Kennen, a natural response. Want to take that away from Oscar.
Solid blind pick for him if he wants to try and go for it. We saw how potent it was in the last game, but do you try and go again for the Renekton and try and set up for that counter pick for Broken Blade, or how do you want to try and approach this? On the opposite side for Fnatic, I imagine it's more than likely going to be trying to get rid of the Zyra and the brand. Razork looks way more concise when he's on something like the Sejuani for Fnatic, but they're going to continue with this top lane ban.
Mundo taken away by Fnatic. Obviously, Oscar did get out to an early lead in the Kennen-Mundo matchup, but he's not getting his hands on Kennen either. We'll see if G2 decides to continue towards that top side, or whether we start to see a couple of the junglers banned away. Instead, the Renekton, blind pickable. I wonder if we're leading to a Cassante on 4.
Definitely much seems like it, Medic. Yeah. It's the safest blind in the meta. Broken Blade definitely will have answers to it, but the Zyra can be removed from Yike as well. Someone we didn't really talk about a huge amount, but his damage was lethal in so many of those fights. Every time Fnatic did try to find those engages, the disengage power, the plant damage, the speed of taking the Baron contributed by that Zyra as well. Gonna be removed, and the Gwen once more for Yike.
Obviously still a flex.
That's what I was going to say. This could be flexed up to match the Cassante as well, so keeping their options open. Ivern would be a phenomenal pick here for Fnatic, to be perfectly honest. But either way, I think it will be the Cassante, and that's just a question mark of, is it Sejuani that they want to go for that more engaged, orientated pick, or is it going to be the Ivern to try and set up these double AD carries?
And you still have things like the brand available as well if you do want a bit more AP damage, but I do like the Ivern, as you say. Put Daisy down, makes it harder for the team to get through that front line. Trigger Seed's very powerful, obviously, as well. Gwen locked in. We'll see if G2 are flexing that top into the Cassante, or whether that is a jungle pick for Yike. Looks like it might be a flex.
They're testing the waters. Well, this Poppy doesn't really clear things up, I'm gonna be honest, but we expect the Poppy to go into the top lane. Oscar has been a big favorite of the Poppy into the Cassante matchup. Broken Blade is no stranger to it either. I will say, again, I like what Fnatic have drafted. I think it's very similar to what they drafted in game 1. Just more of a tanky top line rather than trying to find those flanks. Still solid front to back. A little bit better scaling with the Ivern, but your engage becomes a little bit weaker. Whereas G2, multiple carry threats. Decent disengage. Their engage is very reliant on Mikyx, though.
Yeah, and I'm not really sold on this Gwen pick. At least the last time there was multiple big spells that you could try and shroud away from and make sure you're going to be safe, but that's not really an option here on Fnatic. Everyone has consistent DPS. Daisy's going to do Daisy things. It just feels a little odd for me to try and go for the Gwen here when there were other AP options up and available, but if you can try and snipe some of these AD carries in the backline with that ultimate, maybe you can get use out of it.
And sometimes it's about comfort as well, right? Yike obviously comfortable on the Gwen right now. Yesterday, although he did struggle a little bit, perhaps just playing around the wrong windows. There was more CC on that MDK lineup as well. And we are getting ready to go on into game 2. G2's name etched on that trophy you see before you. It's been there many times over the years for Fnatic. You have to look a few columns up if you are going to find the FNC initials sitting on that LEC Championship trophy. Let's get into game 2 between Fnatic and G2, and let's hope, let's pray that we get a game like game 1.
Level 1 plans are something we haven't seen a huge amount from G2 in the season finals, but Fnatic, they're no strangers to it. I wonder if we'll see anything creative from them. Right now it looks like the standard line of scrimmage. But viewers at home, this is your opportunity. Grab a drink, get a snack. We just had a banger game 1 if you've just joined us. I mean, I don't know where you guys were. We started an hour later too. Like, we gave you so much time. What are you doing? Absolute banger game 1. G2 currently lead the series. But Fnatic showcased a lot of grit, a lot of great team fighting. Just a few simple mistakes towards the end, really what cost it. But I'm excited to see how Fnatic bounce back, if they can, or if G2 will bring us to match point.
For the moment, not a huge amount happening. Both the top laners would you know, struggle a little bit in a lane swap situation, but it seems like Noah and Jun are willing to take the 2v2 in the bot side. Mikyx is poking his head in around mid, and Caps is trading aggressively with Humanoid. It's on the winning side of that trade by about 100 HP.
Yeah, the armor shred from the E is going to be doing a lot of work there to try and help him out, but Jun and Noah trying to see if they can disrupt Mikyx from getting into position. Still a lot of question mark pings on where Mikyx is, so it will be at least this initial push going in favor of Fnatic. And with Yike moving down towards that bottom side, I don't think you see any sort of funky business in the early stages, but it will just give a bit of comfort to Fnatic knowing that that bot lane's in their favor.
And Mikyx a little bit behind in terms of XP as well in this lane. Obviously, Gleaming Quill, a relatively good tool for the Rakan if you do go for those early trades. But, don't expect a huge amount to happen, as Noah and Jun should be able to get that level 2 first. Just an exchange of emotes. Important to win that mental warfare.
Keeping track of the junglers as well. Looks like Yike going to start on the top side. Early vision investment from Fnatic to help keep track of him, as Razork now returns to collect his bounty.
No, he let us down.
Yeah, no fancy.
There's no fancy blast cone play. You root caller the blue, you blast cone over to the wolves, you then take them, root caller back to the blue. Saves you about 3 milliseconds, but it looks cool.
It's good vision control from Fnatic in the early game, though. They already had a ward that was up by Raptors to spot a Yike. Now they've got a ward here just by Frog as well to spot a Yike. So full information on how this G2 jungler's pathing, and being able to just hit tab and say, oh yeah, he's got 16 creeps, divide by 4, he's done 4 of his camps. We're very much aware of exactly what this path for Yike is at the moment.
It's a little bit slower than the Ivern, as to be expected in the early game. Guardian procced there on Mikyx. Razork looking for that blue. If he can channel and smite, he can steal this away. He's saved the smite as well. Yike trying to get it in range before Razork gets in range of him. Yike will take it, but Razork still has that root caller. Just on the low side, Yike able to escape.
Good utilization of the bot pressure from Razork, with Noah and Jun having the push, and Mikyx on this Rakan not really being able to do much in the very early game. They just know that with numbers, they can put some pressure onto Yike. Unfortunately for Razork, he couldn't really convert it into much, but that's okay. He was mainly just testing the waters, seeing if there was anything small for him to secure. He does get the bot Scuttle Crab. He now looks to reset, and now we'll see what shenanigans he can get up to. Ivern spends a lot of time just wandering the map, and right now there are pings towards top lane. I really don't think that that's the lane that either side is really super invested in trying to find early advantages, but you know what, with Fnatic scaling, I think their game plan is very much, we'll take whatever we can, to be honest. As long as we don't concede much of an early deficit, we're in a good spot.
I think that's the thing they want to correct from game 1, right? Because they lost 6 Grubs, they lost the first 2 Drakes, and ever since that point, even though they were able to find some fights, they were always fighting at a deficit. It was always like, oh, we need to stop them from getting the Cloud Soul. We need to stop them from being able to get in this position. If you can at least get one of those early Drakes or take some of those Grubs, you really mitigate some of that pressure that G2 was able to put down in game 1.
And still, Razork sitting up towards his top side. Mikyx goes for the engage on bot side. Gonna go for a reset anyway, so just fishing to see if they could catch Noah, but this is gonna be another slower paced early game. Just hope we get as much excitement as we did in the last one.
Dash in from Hans Summer. Jun waiting with the mount up there on the Rell. Dodged away from Mikyx's grand entrance, and in the end, Noah down to half HP. Hans Summer able to walk away without taking any wounds.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mikyx, you need to stop that reset to make sure you're able to push in this wave, but I think at this stage, G2 just going to look for that reset, making sure they can keep this push on bot side as Yike's camps are respawning, so it makes it difficult for Razork to go for any sort of evade on the bottom side with that timing window. Still though, Dragon is up and available, so I think if you can get a quicker reset here for Hanson and Mikyx, it will work out in your favor. That objective with Broken Blade.
Oscar only has Ghost here. Broken Blade has the flash! He's top father for a reason, Vedi.
He gets the solo kill. Really good awareness. Once he hit level 5, he realized, you know what, my Q is doing a lot of damage and Oscar really isn't respecting it. Oscar doesn't have flash. So Broken Blade said, the only way you can avoid this is if you can flash my Q, which I know you can't do. So I flash on top of you, secure the Q, and I'm able to find the solo kill. Very well played there by Broken Blade.
And in the end, Oscarinin invests the Ghost anyway. So he doesn't have that tool to try and chase down the Poppy later on. G2 used that as the trigger to start up the Drake. Yet to see a recall out from Hans Summer. TP to the top lane for Broken Blade. He's just going to match. Fnatic looking for the fight. Jun coming in from the side. Humanoid putting some damage down onto Cavs as well. And the Drake is secured by Yike. But now he's caught up in the root caller and Noah might get his first instead. Humanoid the one that takes the kill. Noah dashing forward. Looking for a little bit more damage into the back of Hans Summer and he will get that. Hans Summer will get his recall off.
This was a bizarre timing window from G2. As he said, Hans Summer hadn't gone for the reset. Noah had managed to get his into position. So Sheen on both the Smolder and Noah mean they just have a better advantage coming into the fight. And G2 blunder it.
Looked like G2 just thought that they could get it quickly enough. Gwen, naturally a very fast jungle camp clearer. But yeah, the collapse came through from Fnatic, as you rightly said. Dagda and the damage was just better. G2 was immediately forced to scatter. Mikyx was primarily trying to stop the collapse coming in from the mid lane, which means that his resources weren't available to peel for Yike, who's now ticked over to level 6. And Razork looking to get his first set of grubs so far in this series.
Has the 6, has the flash. Yike, no ghost to dash in for the battle. Oscarinin trading with Broken Blade. Oscarinin needs to be a little bit careful, but always has that all out. Connie has the Q3 prime. Yike dashes forward. Pathmaker back. Broken Blade pulled back. And remember, he has no flash. The steadfast presence will buy him a second, but here comes Daisy. And perhaps Broken Blade's going to be pushing them up in a second. The root caller onto Yike instead, the first target. Broken Blade dashes back, hits a minion. The true shot barrage rings true on Yike. And Broken Blade feels the pain of the Into foes. Daisy tanking the tower now as they look for a little bit more damage. Yike can try and get away. Razork tanks it up. Jun coming in as well. Flash! Shattering strike! And Yike's world collapses!
Broken Blade and Yike get bopped in the top lane. Fnatic with a fantastic collapse as G2 look to find something in the top end, but end up giving away everything.
I'm genuinely surprised that G2 tried to force that gank. They thought that with Oscar not having Ghost that it would be an easy setup, but I felt like Razork was way too, Oscar was way too healthy. They didn't have information as to where Razork was. And you know, when you look at Cassante and Ivern, you don't think of it as a very powerful top jungle combo, but you know what? Fnatic didn't give a damn. They make it work, and they find themselves some incredibly valuable early kills.
The fact that Broken Blade now is sitting 400 gold down despite getting that first kill says exactly how this one's going to go. Iceborne Gauntlet now completed. Gives full control to Fnatic in that top side and makes things significantly easier when you look towards some of these upcoming objectives. Now, Fnatic have only managed to get one grub before they had to move swiftly up to that top side to help out Oscarinin. So G2 will be able to get 2, but even if you can get the next 3 grubs for Fnatic, that's such a good position to be in.
Yeah, I expect we'll see a fight around that second grub spawn in about 4 minutes time. Oscar having a very strong series so far. First on the cannon, now on the Cassante, 2-1 against a lane that, I mean, Broken Blade throughout the year has been seen as G2's best player at times, G2's second best definitely throughout the course of 2024.
Especially when he came back from MSI. It felt like it was kind of Broken Blade holding things together. But unfortunately, he has been the target of a lot of Fnatic plays, not only in this series, but also when you look back at the summer finals as well. And hasn't been able to find the success he wants in a G2. Trying to see if they can get some aggression on the bottom side, but again, Fnatic just playing well off of their lane states, putting pressure on towards Yike as his camp spawn on the bot side.
Now you will notice caps with a small advantage, but that's because while the action was happening top lane, Mikyx did look for a roam in mid. That put a lot of damage down onto Humanoid, forced him to go back, and that's kind of resulting in the CS deficit. Of course, though, because of the kill that Humanoid was able to grab, it more so equalizes the mid lane matchup. Fnatic, though, ultimately setting themselves up very nicely when you think about the scaling comp that they are working towards, similar to what we saw in Game 1. They would have loved to have secured more grubs, but due to the early action, you know what, they'll be fine with the kills. We'll see if they're eager to fight for the next dragon spawning in a minute's time.
Level 6 hit for Mikyx. He's the one you have to keep your eyes on as that engage tool throughout this whole game. He has the flash, and Humanoid is that twinkle in his eye if you can find him now in this mid lane.
Humanoid, no flash.
He's respectful.
Yeah, it needs to be. Has to step back, knows he can just farm this wave as it comes in. 88 stacks on him so far. Usually you're looking at about the 20-minute mark for 10 a minute. 200 is a good benchmark as Oscarinin trades with Broken Blade. The hammer shot down. Oscarinin using that Iceborne Gauntlet to put some more damage onto Broken Blade, but a long-range buckler means that Broken Blade comes out on the positive side of the trade. 20 seconds on the Drake. Yike on the top side. Razork doing the same, clearing out those top side camps.
No real items completed as of yet, though. Oh, sure, hang on. Oh,
Dashes back. Caps. Magnus Storm comes down. He has a Valkyrie, but here comes more. The true shot barrage from Noah is enough for Fnatic to find a kill on Caps, and perhaps with it, a Drake to boot.
The true shot bomb is the deadliest, as Humanoid and Noah work so well together alongside Jun. Caps completely caught out there. Now Humanoid in the same position.
I mean, still don't flash. I'm not sure why Humanoid was this far up. I'm gonna be honest, feels a little bit like a misplay. And G2 will happily take a kill. They can try and contest the Drake, but it's already gone. Fnatic have it in their pockets.
I just really like the proactiveness from Fnatic. They were able to find some great ganks onto Caps in the previous game, and they used it this time to convert it into an objective. Of course, Humanoid, he just wanted to push out the wave. He thought he would be fine. He thought he'd be fast enough, but he didn't expect the collapse to come in from Mikyx and Yike, who end up turning it into a 1-for-1. But Fnatic should still be happy, given that they've alleviated some of that objective pressure that they experienced in Game 1.
It's feeling so similar to Game 1, though. The gold incredibly close. Both teams fisticuffs across the board, just trying desperately to find any sort of leverage in this game. And at the moment, sure, it's Fnatic with a slight lead, and they are starting to get control of this bottom side, but they need to try and find success now with 20 seconds until the next set of Void Grubs. Looks like they're going to give it up and look instead for a play on Caps again.
No flash. Razork looks for the root caller, the Valkyrie, a quick escape to avoid the clutches of Jun and Razork. Mikyx dashes in, just Jun dodges to the side, but now they have to deal with the TP because Broken Blade is looking for that flank. Keeper's verdict, Ivern's guilty. Oscarinin coming in as well, but he's able to walk his way out of this one. And in the end, it's just TP's invested with not much else happening.
I mean, the top wave state is pretty neutral, so neither side really losing too much off the back of it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Broken Blade catch this bot wave, and then they send maybe Caps back to base to move up towards top. Right now, Fnatic set their sights on the tower. Maybe they can get themselves another play. Good poke damage from Humanoid as he continues to get stacks. But all right, G2 saw an opportunity, didn't quite pan out. Ends up, as you rightly said, Medic, just being an exchange of summoners.
I think we're going to get a quick reset, though, and a look at everything else on the map, because Hans Sama pushing in on this mid lane. He's still got those Void Grubs up on the top side. Maybe there's less attention, not being able to get the 6, but 4 Void Grubs, especially for people like Caps, is going to be very nice if you can get towards that later portion of the game. But it doesn't look like G2 are fully set on it, and Fnatic, they're pinging onto Broken Blade.
And once again, looking down towards that bottom side. Grubs now spawning. Yike secures the red, can clear out mid as well. It looks like Hans Sama wants to reset. Enough vision for Broken Blade here to know that he's in imminent danger, and because of that, he calls for a hasty retreat. Fnatic looking for the first turret of the game, should be able to secure it here with no wave in mid. They'll get that little extra bounty for taking the first tower.
Caps, though, has a good amount of pressure on top, and they can overload mid here as G2 as well, with that tower being incredibly low too, so they may get the first turret, but I'm very curious what the next couple of plays are going to look like for G2. I think Fnatic need to start to, as you can see, shift back attention up towards this top side very quickly.
It was, of course, too late for Grubs. Instead, the Rift Tower of the target for G2 in this top side. G2, as you say, Caps gets the top lane tower. 300 gold between the two teams. Rift Tower secured for G2, haven't picked up the eye yet, but Yike will quickly pocket it. And they should be able to dash away from this one. So in the end, an objective over to G2, a turret exchange with the first tower actually going in favor of Fnatic. They're looking for more up towards this top side. Yike only sitting on a Nash's TP in by Fnatic. They're looking to call this play a battle. Humanoid TP's in, G2 have 3. Hans Sama trying to move from mid, the Magnus Storm coming out as well. There's Mom, redemption enough to keep them alive even through the quickness. Jun kills Caps, Mikyx next up, and Yike will take one in response. Oscar's able to kill off Mikyx. Razork takes the tower! The trigger seed, the root caller just enough! The last breath of his life! So close to falling, but Fnatic find 2 in the top side.
Razork felt those scissors clip and the wind rushing him away from that play, but still Humanoid did fall in that engagement as well, so 2 for 1 for Fnatic. They'll be very happy though with drawing that many members of G2 to topside and coming out on top.
I admire the confidence from Fnatic. A play that could have gone horribly wrong ends up getting them 2 kills. The problem is they do concede that bot tower. In terms of overall gold, it's still very even. You look at the bottom of your screen, Gwen with a slight lead, Corki with a slight lead, Hansama now with a 1k gold lead. G2, even though it's Fnatic being proactive, finding these picks, G2 in terms of gold is still in a very comfortable position with the Herald still at their back.
And it only gets easier to come through from here as well. You now get to put pressure on towards mid, knowing that bot lane turrets down. Humanoid can't really overextend because you constantly have that mid pressure coming through for G2. And Rift Herald still to play for as well. Honestly, if I'm G2, I don't even use it on mid turret. I instead try to just use that for those tier 2s eventually and get that big boon of the extra gold.
Daisy comes down to do a little bit of reconnaissance behind enemy lines for the moment. Fnatic and G2 calling each other to arms. TP behind by Broken Blade. Hansama isn't in a good position here. Cleanse already used. The Path Maker. He tries to flash. He tries to dash the lightning crash. Will it be enough to keep him alive? Razork has the redemption to help him out, and he'll survive for now. Hansama already down. Humanoid needs to get away from the Keeper's verdict. The Magnet Storm from Chun saves his mid laner's life. Noah flashes away from Yike. Yike's looking for more of a chew from Humanoid. We'll get the slow down. You still have the Trigger Siege, you still have the Ivern, you still have Oscarinin at full HP. A Shadowing Strike on Broken Blade, the Drake not started by Yike. He's tried to heal up in the jungle, BB has to flash. Noah healing up with that red buff.
It's a bizarre fight from G2. I think the sweeper was meant to be used by Yike. He ends up using Rift Herald instead, and Hansama gets caught out mid. It was just a cacophony of mistakes on G2's side. Now the TP though, as they want to try to continue on towards the Dragon.
Oscarinin still has the all-out here. You have to remember that. BB no flash. Mikyx looking for the quickness flash on towards that backline. Fnatic have 3 to defend. Yike here to make it 4 for G2. Hansama here to join the party as well, but he's summonerless. Fnatic can step forward. The True Shot Barrage will take a chunk. The Drake secured by Caps. The dash onto the backline with the quickness from Mikyx. And G2 look to run them down. It's 2 already, and they don't need to make it more of a Drake and 2 for G2.
Fnatic with a good initial fight feel that they need to still contest the Dragon. After Caps is able to TP back in, I feel like Fnatic just needed to disengage. They use so many tools. A lot of ultimates are on cooldown. And you look at this engage, like Oscar runs in, he gets melted. Mikyx with a nice follow-up on the back. Only now does Noah arrive. The chip damage, it's just not really there. And a big misplay from Fnatic as they tried too hard to fight for that Dragon.
Papa Smurf very happy with that one though. Managing to get those extra kills and that Dragon in his favor as well. But now G2 starting to wrangle control of the map state as well. That mid lane turret is the big one that they want to try and let fall. To do so, they push in top of Broken Blade, shift him over towards mid, start to get the suffocation on towards Fnatic, just like we saw in the last game.
2,000 gold Fnatic's deficit. In game 1, they fought back, and they were just so close to closing it out. But G2, that wall, that insurmountable problem for them continues to be vexing. Can you find a solution? Can you pick it apart? Can you pick the lock? Can you find some way to light up the darkness? Right now it's Jun and Humanoid trying to do that. They'll step in with the Oracles. Broken Blade a little bit overextended, doesn't have the flash. Jun looking for the flank, but he might just go for that control ward instead. He will.
The thing for Fnatic is, as soon as they see where Mikyx is, they can make a play. Mikyx is the guy that is the engage tool, and without that, G2 are significantly less threatening. So anytime Mikyx pops up with a ward or they see him move into a position to clear out vision, that's where they can try and make a play, but they can invest on top.
Double
G2
TP into the bot lane. Caps is overextended, and Daisy puts him up in the air. I think he might be going back down to the dirt in a second. Fnatic will find him, invest 2 TPs to do so, lose their mid-tier 1, but that was falling anyway.
He didn't even tickle Oscar. He used the Valkyrie away. He tries to chip away at him, but he just brushes that off. You'd think in a situation like this, maybe G2 could go towards the Baron, but the truth is, it's just not fast enough. They realize that if they start that objective, if anything, they're just leashing it for Fnatic. So instead, they accept the loss. They push out top, they push out mid, they set up a few wards, and they look to recall.
It's rare that we see Caps looking so poor in the side lane though. Last game wasn't looking so hot for him. This game as well now, getting caught out. And you're seeing Humanoid, he's starting to thrive. 225 stacks has been hit on this Smolder. 2 items now completed as well. Fnatic definitely in a position where if they can find fights, they can take it. But 3k gold lead, a lot of that sitting on towards Yike. He can be a big carry as well.
Fnatic have done a great job of getting deep wards to allow for the TP flanks, though. And I think this is something that's been consistently catching Caps off guard. When we think back to the season finals earlier in the tournament, G2 invest a lot of resources to provide him with safety on the side, and I feel like Fnatic is doing a good job of denying that, making it harder with these flank TPs that create these opportunities to collapse on him. Regardless, though, the mid lane is pretty much dead even between the two. The biggest thing is, as you rightly said, Smolder's only going to continue to scale.
2 items apiece in mid, in AD. 2 items for Razork, Redemption and Moonstone. His weapons of choice. His Broken Blade looks for Humanoid in the bottom lane. Humanoid still has the flash, and really, this is 3 stacks for him. Steadfast presence away by BB. Humanoid, no TP, though. Could allow G2 an opportunity to at least set up vision around the Baron, which they've done. No wards left for Mikyx, means he's going to take a quick trip back to base to replenish that supply.
But it is Broken Blade now being pushed back. Caps can't step up to really put pressure on the map because they don't really know where Fnatic are, so he has to back his way, and it's Fnatic slowly but surely wrangling control over the lane states, and now they can start to get that vision in, see if they can start to crack some turrets open for themselves as well.
Take a breather. The game in a very tense spot. Don't let the gold at the top deceive you. A lot of the lead is, of course, sitting on top of Hans Sama, but Noah not that far behind in terms of itemization. We've seen Zeri's have those moments, but in order for that to happen, you've got to get in range. And I would argue that's the biggest challenge against Fnatic's composition. Humanoid and Noah have so much safety. Can Yike find a flank? Can Mikyx get the angle to provide that engage? Again, the burden of execution, I think, falls onto G2, whereas Fnatic have so much poke, have so many tools that they can play around, that it's going to be up to G2 to find these angles. They did it last game. Surely he can't solo this.
So I don't think so. In fact, I don't think so at all.
But he wouldn't have started it if he hadn't tested it in practice tool, I feel.
Yeah, I'd be like, the thing about soloing it is you need no one to come check it. And that's it's not what Fnatic is going to allow. Obviously, he could have started it, and then if Fnatic hadn't checked, then Rakan could jump over the wall. But if you are tanking the Baron, you do 50% less damage to it, which means even if you are a 2-item Gwen, it can be pretty tricky to get through it. Sharpish. The Drake secured for Fnatic. It's 2 apiece. And once again, this game is ringing true of game 1.
I like the idea, though. You know, Dragon is being started, so when you know all these people are on that bot side of the map, you'd think that no one would then come and check the Baron. The timing was actually very good. If anything, he may have been cool. Okay,
Smart
good
check.
awareness, good awareness. No face checking for him. But yeah, I like the idea. It doesn't end up paying off as Fnatic with great awareness of their own.
Look at the collapse from G2. Like, they're trying to see if perhaps Jun overstepped to Tribush because they walked away, and so Caps would have backed away, perhaps. But the collapse not actually going to amount to anything. Humanoid still just scaling in that bottom lane. 280 stacks on him now, building up towards that 3rd item. It's 4 minutes on the next Drake, and I think we might be in for a little bit of, you know, a drop in the pace over these next 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think the problem is the Fnatic are still trying to look for these teleport plays, but every time they establish some sort of deep vision, it's getting cleared out by Mikyx very, very quickly. So it means that then they're not really finding those moments. So, Mikyx, good response there, being able to step away, but finding moments to attack Caps in the side lane or even burn through Broken Blade aren't really coming to fruition. And you can see again how much vision control is offered to Caps on this top side just to make sure that he's not going to get caught out.
The atmosphere electric. The game, a precarious balance between 2 juggernauts here in Europe. For G2, they won a title last year. They've been racking them up this year as well. 3 of our split titles, in fact all 3 of them, looking for the Grand Slam by claiming the LEC Championship as well. For Fnatic, it's been a long and lonely road. But it's the only one a lot of their fans will have ever known. 6 years since they last picked up a championship. 284 days, 2,184 days. Been a while. Question is, can they find that magic once again? Can they find that spark? In game 1, they were a fraction of an inch from taking it. Broken Blade now looking for the flank on Noah. He dashes away. Fnatic will collapse first. Jun coming in. Mikyx looking for something up towards the top side. Daisy down to 200 and taking out Daisy can be pretty impactful. Much harder for you to face check as a team if Daisy is pushing them up. That was a good one, man.
Yeah.
Solid.
Proud of you, bud.
Thanks, man.
It is just funny, though, to see how Fnatic and G2 have nearly entered into a very similar playstyle as we've started to tend into season finals, where it's Humanoid and Caps constantly pushing side lanes, trying to see if you can get this almost main AD carry on your team ahead. But Caps now might find Jun.
As much as it might seem a bit weird for Jun to be the one who's constantly face-checking, if you don't have Daisy, it's kind of his job. Right, he has the Warmogs, he needs another Ruby Crystal. So actually, in fact, he's already got it from Overgrowth, so he's already got the passive healing. So he'll just step forward, have a Trigger Seed on him, and then can walk back out and regen some of that HP. Doesn't mean he doesn't get caught. We saw it in game 1 in the mid lane. He was pushing up a little bit too far. But here his job is to be that face checker.
A moment of pause as both teams just focus on vision. You know, we just saw Mikyx drop a bunch of wards, reset, that vision gets cleared out. He then comes back, replenishes with wards, puts those wards down. Jun has just done the same. And it's this constant mid-game back and forth, constantly testing each other. Do you see what I see? Well, I see what I see. Do you know what I see? And it's this constant back and forth.
Ah, I see.
Yes, exactly, Dagda.
Do you see the scene?
Now, a lot of our attention has been put on the top side of the map because it's this outer tower. As Fnatic has found their window, they will be able to secure this objective, but in contrast, this should allow G2 to convert their pressure towards the bot side of the map. And already you'll see the pings coming out from Fnatic. They're indicating there's probably wards littered in their jungle, as G2 will be able to set up for this next Drake. Both teams find themselves even, and I don't really think Fnatic need to fight this. Depends how confident they feel. You look at their itemization and they're in a very comfortable spot. So they can definitely take this fight if they want to, but they are walking into darkness.
There's also a significant amount of wards up here behind Caps if they want to try and make something happen, but we'll have to see if that's going to be the game plan. Is it's actually Caps going to walk his way down river, maybe look for the flank on Fnatic.
If I'm Fnatic, I'm kind of tempted to wait for Dawn Call. Like, you're almost there with it on Razork. You just need a blasting wand and then the combined cost. So you can fight around this if you think you're strong enough, but if you really want that big spike, Dawn Call gives you a lot. Broken Blade on the flank here. Double control wards for him to keep him out of vision, but Razork puts a push down. Should spot BB as he comes around the corner. Fnatic immediately realize Mikyx chunked out. BB going in with the Keeper's Verdict. It's only Daisy who's not back, and Mickey's already down. Redemption for Fnatic on summer flashes, but Humanoid, burn, baby, burn! It's an inferno from Fnatic. They find 3, the Drake there too, and Baron to boot.
It's the crescendo for Fnatic. The tense moment building into a roar from the Fnatic fans as they take the fight and might just look for Baron as well.
An incredibly well-executed fight from Fnatic. They sidestep the disengage from Broken Blade. The initiation from Mikyx is quickly shut down, and then Hansama gets caught out. So Fnatic avoid all the crucial pieces, play around it to perfection, and they get themselves a Baron.
A Broken Blade being spotted here means that Fnatic are able to start to step away. Mikyx, that soul engage tool, denied by Jun as he goes in. The follow-up from Mom. Hansama goes down. Yike tries desperately to get into the backline, but he just doesn't quite have enough.
And Jun catching Hansama as well was crucial to set up for the follow-up from Humanoid. 4, 2, and 4 on the Smolder, the Baron buff to boot, the carries of Fnatic doing their job extremely well.
And we've seen some questionable engages from Jun over the course of season finals, but denying that engage from Mikyx might have just solidified the game for Fnatic. Now waiting over the wall, the Hex Flash is available as G2 are being sieged upon.
Wave shoving in the bot lane as well by Oscarinin. Jun will look for a little bit of vision around the corner to make sure they can spot G2 on their rotations. Fnatic now will get the mid tier 2. They'll look for the tier 2 in bot as well. Baron still remains for 2 minutes, and there's so much standing gold for them to pick up on this map. Already 3,000 gold off the Baron power play, and they are 2k ahead. Cap's trying to steal everything he can away from Razork, away from Fnatic, but right now it's Fnatic who are in the ascendancy.
I mean, the frustrating thing about playing against Caps is he finds himself 0-3-2, yet he's still even with the Smolder.
100 gold betting. 100
I
gold.
mean, but you 4-2-4 on this Smolder, and he has a Baron.
Yep.
Like, this man is sitting at 366 CS, he is permanently sitting in a side lane, and he's just being annoying. He's being a nuisance, and it is something that Fnatic always have to keep in the back of their minds. We've seen Fnatic in these positions so many times before against G2, and they failed to secure the Nexus. It is crucial for their confidence that they're able to convert this lead, this control, into a win.
It's a game that can decide the way a series goes. You get this, you start to bounce back, you have the momentum, and it's a player who can decide the way a series goes as well. Remember, it was Caps on Fnatic the last time they hoisted the LEC Championship. It was Caps moving to G2 that led to 6 long years in the darkness, and now perhaps as Caps getting caught out in the top lane, but Oscarinin now sees the TP coming in from Broken Blade. Oscar's overextended, but in the bot side you can see Fnatic continues to push in for the tier 2. Caps continues to rattle in with the Gatling gun, Fnatic pushing in for the tier 3 now. All out onto Broken Blade, and the rest of G2 backing away to the top side. Now Broken Blade used his TP, he's going to start his back as Oscarinin will fall, but the inhibitor is forfeit as Fnatic push in and G2 just backed away.
Fnatic, as long as they can reset here, will be happy with it. Yike might try and use the ultimate to try and deny the resets on this bottom side of the map. Baron reset from Humanoid though. Now it's just 3 members of Fnatic and no TP for G2 to catch them. They should be able to get away from this.
Honestly, I don't think G2's too upset about that. A kill, a tower. Yes, they will of course concede the inhibitor, giving Fnatic the ability to have that extra point of pressure on the map. With the Baron one off, Fnatic are the ones that need to maintain this degree of pressure.
Yeah, I think it's just with a minute and a half, well, minute 15 until that Dragon, and the potential to start putting pressure on that top side with Humanoid. That's where it's going to become difficult for G2 if they start to see those outer structures crumble and they're stuck in their base. But Fnatic still have to try and play it out. The deep vision slowly getting cleared out, but it's not fully cleared out. So potential for a TP from Caps onto a flank at this next Dragon could be the game decider for G2.
It definitely could, but it's so full Fnatic, so G2 have to fight it. Fnatic now, as you say, stepping forward, trying to clear out some of that vision. There's a couple of wards, one in Tri, one around the Krugs for G2 if they do want to get that TP in from flank from Caps. Remember, Broken Blade doesn't have his. It looks like Caps and Yike are trying to team up to the top side, trying to double team on to Humanoid, who's able to force Caps back with the Valkyrie.
And I like this from Fnatic. It's get control of mid, shift that pressure into top side, get that last outer turret. Maybe get Caps in at the same time.
TP behind, Caps, where you're gonna go. Valkyrie's burst still has the flash, but Humanoid's on the chase. Oscarinin here to join the party, immediately pings from G2 saying, let's get the Ocean Drake. Sometimes you need a hand from Mom. And Humanoid will get the shot down with it. Hun Summers down to half HP, with a lightning crash into the quickness. The trigger seed, not enough. Noah has to dash away G2. Still in the 4v4, Humanoid not gonna TP in. Super Minions pushing in bot. It looks like G2 will get this Drake, and Fnatic will look for the tier 2 in top.
A close exchange is Fnatic. They're the ones that find a pick on the side lane, but they concede the Dragon to do it. Razork did not expect Mikyx to find this flank. And it was good news that Hansama took so much damage because G2 was hungry for more, but they hesitated, knowing that their AD carry was far too low to follow up on any further fight.
Fnatic will trade Dragon for top tier 2. They're going to be able to walk away from this one. Everyone conga lining their way out, making sure no one is left behind. Baron in 45 seconds. G2 want to try and delay the resets here so they can get control of the map for them, but 2 big super creeps are on that bot wave, and it'll be Caps who's set to clear it out. Mikyx spots Jun.
Jun will get knocked up. Yike can look for the dash forward, actually going the long way around here, but Oscarinin is in the vicinity. He can try and help his support if needed. G2 realize perhaps not too wise to overextend onto the Fnatic side of the map. They'll put some vision down. Still relatively shallow, relatively superficial. Caps has TP. He's pushing out bot. 16 seconds on the Baron buff.
It's pretty fast from G2.
Yeah.
Nice interrupt.
I mean, that's big. Mikyx only has 1 ward. Fnatic can now use this time where they know Mikyx wants to get the reset to step forward, clear out some of this vision. They've got a couple of controls for Jun, a couple of oracles still remaining. Easy stepping forward, Baron begun by Fnatic. They're calling G2 to the Barney. Come. have a fight. You want this buff, come and claim it.
I mean,
Broken
I think
Blade
that's
there, the keeper's verdict. He's stunned. Broken Blade done with the Shadowing Strike. And a dash in from Yike. It's only a dash to his demise. Fnatic looking to continue the fight. Flash away from Broken Blade. Fnatic will get the Baron buff. They'll get a kill. What more can they secure?
Razork looks Yike dead in the eyes and says, I dare you. He does not lose those smite fights, and he doesn't lose one today.
Now Fnatic starting the siege. Caps has reset. I think he just finished his 6th item as well. That's what G2 are trying to play for. You can see he's full build now, and it has to be on Caps. They've given him everything.
Broken Blade's just rooted. He's just locked up. He can't get away from the Shadowing Strike and knock back with the Pathmaker. Oscarinin making a path into the series for Fnatic. Caps trying to step forward, does the damage, but Noah still surviving. The Nexus Towers between Fnatic and their prize. Unsummer trying to dash around, get away from Daisy. The root caller came in as well. Mikyx still has that engage possibility. Flash quickness always an option. Yike now here. He'll step in, but look at the damage. He takes some Humanoid. The lightning crash. The Magnus saw in the backline. Unsummer has to flash away. Gets through the go of Noah. Unsummer dashing away from Oscarinin, dodges the Atokos. Humanoid finds one. It's Oscar and Humanoid versus Yike. And I damn well like those odds. Munich, stand up, soak it in. You're living through history. Fnatic will even out the series.
In what might just be a series-deciding game, Fnatic fight back against G2 and find themselves 1-1 in the series.
To be or not to be champions, Nancy? That is the question.
Wow, this is amazing.
I mean, I had a break, so... do you want to try? I'll be right back.
I want to try. Me? Maybe. What am I gonna do?
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Wow! Vedi! Incroyable, magnifique! What? No! What are you doing? What are you doing? No, keep it! It was so good!
Yours was better.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, shouldn't you be on stage right now?
Hey, you got a pick. Tom Kent? What? I was not expecting this.
And a crazy off-meta pick that secured you the win. How did you come up with it?
I just listened to my gut.